Caught my wife secretly texting "I love you" to a coworker, and now I'm secretly waiting to catch them in the act. I'm 23 years old, been married to my wife for just over 5 years, and we have a beautiful 4-year-old daughter together. Lately, though, I've been battling this gnawing suspicion that something wasn't right. For the past week or two, I couldn't shake the feeling that my wife was talking to someone else, maybe even cheating on me. It felt like a weight pressing down on my chest every moment I saw her on her phone, a cold dread creeping over me every time she smiled at a message she refused to show me. Last night, after I got home, I waited until she drifted off to sleep. My hands shook as I reached for her phone, my heart pounding so loud I thought it would wake her. I went through her messages and finally confirmed the fear that had been tightening its claws around my heart. She's been talking to a coworker. The texts were damning. Even though most of them had been meticulously deleted, the last 2 days' worth were there, staring back at me on that small screen. They told each other "I love you." Plans were spelled out plainly. He was coming over to my house today while I was supposed to be at work. They never outright said they were going to have sex, but the implication was impossible to miss. Pieces of the conversation hinted at other things already happening between them, things that should never be happening outside our marriage. Now, here I am, sitting in a Waffle House booth, staring at the plastic menu but completely unable to stomach the idea of eating. I already called into work, just told them I wasn't coming in. My mind is racing, my limbs shaking, as I try to figure out my next move. I'm planning on using our home alarm app to track when it's disarmed. If he comes over today, I'll have proof. Proof matters, I've learned, because in my state, adultery is a game changer. If I can show she cheated, she won't be able to get alimony if this goes to divorce. All I can think about is how messed up that is, the fact that I could catch them in the act, stop them before anything happens, but in the long run it might ruin me if we end up splitting up. If I go home now, confront her before it happens, I lose any leverage, but how can I force myself to let this happen when I love her so much? I don't want my marriage to end, but I can't see how I'd ever be able to forgive her for this kind of betrayal. Even if I stepped in right now and stopped it, the feeling would never go away. It's already burned into me, a scar that will never fully heal. I'm sitting here, hungry but nauseous, wanting to scream but barely able to breathe. My whole body shakes. My thoughts race out of control. There's a hole where my chest used to be, and it feels like someone's poured lead into my stomach. I'm terrified of the future, of what this means for me, and more than anything, what it will mean for our little girl. What kind of life are we headed for if I follow this through or if I let it go? I don't know what to do. I'm lost. Update 1. I haven't confronted them yet, since the guy still hasn't shown up, and honestly, I don't think he will. At least not today. Maybe she sensed that I was onto something. This morning, I tried my best to act like everything was normal when I walked out the door, but it hurt like hell. I'm not even sure if she believed my act. According to their texts, they planned for him to come over this Thursday morning. Right now, it's 12:40 p.m. If he ends up not showing, I think I'll finally talk to her about all of this tonight. Update 2. The guy never showed up, so here's where I stand right now. I've decided that, for the time being, I'm going to act like nothing is wrong. After talking things through with family and really thinking things over, I believe I can pull it off and keep things normal on the surface. Tomorrow morning, I'll be seeing a lawyer. I also spoke with a PI whom I'm likely going to hire. From the texts I've seen, I know for sure that she was planning to have him come over during the hunting trip I've already got scheduled for next weekend. I am definitely still going on that trip, and I'll make sure the PI knows when I'm gone. Honestly, I've come to a decision. I'm done. I don't have it in me to try and fix this. Now, my priority is protecting myself, covering my own back, and finding my way out. It isn't just about her having the affair or sleeping with someone else. She's told him she loves him. And from everything I've seen, she doesn't love me anymore. It feels like I'm being used here. She wanted a new car, and she wanted me to pay for her to go back to school, but she wanted all of that while being with him behind my back. At the moment, she's left the house, ostensibly to pick up our daughter from daycare. I'm watching the time. I know exactly how long that should take, and if she's gone any longer, I know what that means and where she probably went. My plan now is to try and get through Christmas, and then my daughter's birthday next Friday, without raising the alarm or saying a word about what I've discovered. With luck, the PI will come up with the evidence I need by then. Wish me luck. I'm going to need it. Update 3. When I came home, I acted like everything was perfectly normal. We laughed and joked around a bit. Hell, it hurt so much to pretend, especially when my heart felt shattered, but I managed to get through dinner with her like nothing was out of the ordinary. Afterwards, as we sat together on the couch, she suddenly asked me to pause the TV. My stomach dropped. She turned to me, eyes serious, and asked when I was going to mention it. I tried to play dumb, asking what she meant, but she cut straight to the point and said she knew I'd seen the texts. The conversation started right there. She told me he didn't actually come over, something I already knew, but then said she'd told him she didn't want to talk with him anymore. She said she'd blocked his number. Clearly, with her supposedly cutting ties, the original plan I was considering no longer made sense. The thing is, despite everything, I still love her. My heart is shattered, and I honestly don't know if I'm capable of forgiving her or trusting her again. I don't even know if I should stay in this relationship. She says she wants to work on us, but I don't know if I can. She claimed the reason she started talking to him was because she didn't feel wanted. She said the emotional connection between us just wasn't there, and this guy apparently knew all the right things to say. She kept insisting that she told him several times it was over, that nothing would happen, yet here she was, inviting him into our home. She also told me, it wasn't a choice, what I felt for him just happened. The story she told me sounded surreal, something about him bagging at her register one day, her hand accidentally brushing his, and she felt this charge of electricity, like something out of a bad romance novel. I know if anyone heard this, they'd think it was bullshit, and honestly, so do I. How am I supposed to trust her after this? I can't see her side of things, no matter how much I try. Should I give her another chance? Should I try to fix things? I just don't know anymore. Do I even want to? Is it worth the pain? I told her I wasn't going to decide right then. I needed time to think. I'm considering reaching out to some coworkers to see if I could stay on their couch for a few days, just to get some space and clear my head. I don't have any family in town, being in the military, that comes with the territory. Of course, I'd come back for Christmas, if only for my daughter's sake. There's no point in hiring a pie anymore now that she says she's cut him off. I honestly don't think she'll do anything for a while. Maybe I'm a fool, maybe not. I've been wrong before. But I'm taking plenty of precautions to make sure I know what she's up to. If anything at all seems off, I'm done for good. And of course, I'll be keeping all of this to myself. Update 4. After everything that's happened, I wanted to set the record straight and answer the questions that people always seem to ask me. So here's the rundown of where my mind is at right now. Right now, I'd say the vast majority of people around me, about 80 to 90%, tell me to lawyer up and get out. Out of that group, only about 20% actually make a real argument as to why I should leave. Most just fall back on once a cheater, always a cheater. The other 10 to 20% lean towards giving it another chance, or say that I should do what makes me happy, and a lot of those folks back up their opinions with solid reasons. I genuinely appreciate all the people who've tried to help or comfort me during this mess, strangers or not. Reflecting back, I feel like I unintentionally misrepresented her in my last update. She's not denying what she did. She knows it was her choice, and she knows she should have talked to me. There's no excuse there. She doesn't blame me for her actions, she owns them. She told me she felt unwanted, which pushed her towards him, but she never said it was all my fault. She admitted she could have controlled her feelings better, and even if I find that hard to believe, she knows she could have definitely controlled what she did about it. Ultimately, she let herself get talked into that decision, and even if she doesn't realize it, I believe it's because it was something she wanted in the moment. Our marriage hasn't been perfect. Communication, especially recently, has always been a challenge. Our sex life hasn't exactly been fireworks. I felt neglected, she felt neglected, and neither one of us did enough to fix it. Don't get me wrong, none of this means I blame myself for what she did. Not even a little. She did this, and I make sure she knows that's how I see it. It's not that I want people to like her or see her in a different light, I just don't think she is some monster or irredeemable person. She was a terrible wife for what she did to me, but that doesn't mean she's inherently a bad person. Now, as for what's next, I spent a long time last night and this morning wrestling with my choices, really thinking about what would make me happy. I can't make this decision based on her desires, or even for the sake of our daughter, or just to keep the family together. It has to be about what I want. And if I'm honest, some part of me still wants to try and make things work. That doesn't mean I've made any kind of final decision, or that things can magically go back to normal. But I want to give it a shot. Maybe counseling, maybe building something stronger than before, but I have no idea if any of that is even possible. After she read through my messages, she knew that I was aware of the laws in South Carolina, specifically that if she was caught committing adultery, she wouldn't be entitled to alimony. That was really my only defense. Now that she knows, I don't think she'd risk doing something again for quite a while, which means there's no point in hiring a pie right now, or even later when I go hunting next weekend. But there's always a twist. If she suspects I'm not being cautious, she might think she can get away with it after all. So I've set up some safeguards, ways to protect myself, and to make sure that if she does cross any lines again, I'll know. Here's what I came up with. Trust is shot. There's no denying it. If we ever even start to fix this, I have to feel like she wants to stay with me, not just for what I can give her. So I asked her if she'd be willing to sign a postnuptial agreement. After consulting with a lawyer, the agreement would mean that if we divorce, even for no fault, she gets nothing. No alimony, no possessions except what is undeniably hers, her computer, clothes, jewelry, and that's it, and no court-ordered child support. Just to clear things up, I would never stop supporting my daughter or try to keep her away from her mom. I only want to avoid court mandates. Instead, I'd rather provide support based on time and need, not a set monthly payment. Of course, I need to talk to a lawyer to see how this could actually work. I do have some further plans, but I'm keeping those to myself for now, just in case. Maybe I'll lay them out sometime in the future, but not right now. So if she signs the postnup and it works how I intend, then I think, maybe, I'd be willing to try. I know it won't sit well with everyone. Maybe I am making a mistake. Maybe she's lying to me, but I remember the person I married, the person she was before things went bad between us. I honestly don't believe she did what she did just to have sex, or because she stopped loving me. I think she got caught up in nostalgia. He told her the things I used to when we first got together. She misses who we used to be. Maybe we'll never get that back, but I see 3 ways this plays out. We work at it and fail, and get divorced. We work at it, she cheats again, and get divorced, or we work at it, fix ourselves and each other, and somehow walk away stronger than ever. I'm rooting for that last one. There's something else you should know. She has terrible self-image issues, always believing the worst about herself. She's painfully introverted and hasn't been around new people in years. This job is the first time she's been in that situation. It's no excuse, but it matters to the story. This is where I am right now. I know not everyone will agree with what I'm thinking of doing, and some people might be disappointed in me. But this time, I have to choose for myself. Update 5. Right now, I'm sitting at the bar with a Jack and Coke in hand, letting my thoughts drift as the night goes on. We talked, really talked, trying to patch things up, and for a moment it actually felt like there was a spark of hope. Her eyes held that uncertainty, though, and she admitted she didn't know how she felt or whether she even wanted us to work. That stung, but after more talking, she said she did want to try. I wanted so badly to believe her. We ended up having a session with a therapist this past Wednesday. Sitting in that office, she laid it all out. She felt like she wasn't getting enough from our marriage, that I didn't care or talk to her. The therapist pressed, asking her to clarify, and she conceded that she could see I did care. I tried, I really did, but she just wasn't happy and had no idea what she wanted. The therapist told her what I'd already sensed. The issue wasn't me not caring but rather her not knowing what she truly wanted. Last night, I saw her setting up an air mattress in the extra room. New sheets, the kind she had to special order for the bed size. That wave of dread crashed over me, and when I checked her phone for when she'd ordered them, there it was, she was texting him again. In that moment, I knew, there's no coming back from this. We're done. Divorce is inevitable. I'm not surprised. Honestly, I walked into this fully aware that it could crumble no matter what effort I put in. I have no regrets. I needed to know I'd done everything I could. I want to look back one day and know I left no stone unturned, no what ifs. Now, there's nothing left to blame myself for, and I'll find peace in that. I truly tried. Even now, I don't want anyone to trash her. You can't just flip a switch and stop loving someone, and despite everything, I still love her. Hearing people call her names or dwell on her faults doesn't make this easier. Forgiveness isn't on the table right now, maybe it never will be, but I hold no resentment. I want her and our daughter to be happy, and I even believe she regrets hurting me on some level, but she just doesn't know how to feel differently. She's making plans to move back to Florida with her family. That means leaving him too. I don't think she's leaving me for another man, at least not for something lasting. It's more about the excitement, chasing that heady puppy dog feeling of new love. I think she's carrying around wounds that haven't healed. She needs time and help to untangle her self-worth, to work through her self-deprecation. For now, she'll stay here in our house, hopefully going to therapy while she benefits from still being married. Under SC law, we have to live apart for a year before we can file for divorce, but she'll go soon. To keep things civil, we're opting for mediation, not lawyers. It's best for both our pockets and our sanity. We get along well enough for that. She's agreed there's no need for alimony, and we're talking about me having full custody of our daughter if the courts accept, with her having as much visitation as possible. No games, no one trying to screw anyone over. I know many would tell me to go after everything, but that's not me, and despite all that's happened, it's not her either. I believe she's being truthful about this. It's going to be hard for a while, there's no illusion about that, but we'll make it to the other side. My number one priority now is making sure our daughter is cared for, no matter what happens to me or her mom. 4th drink in and my energy is flagging, so I'll pause here. If there's anything I left unsaid, I'll fill the gaps if asked. For now, if anyone's around Columbia, South Carolina and wants to grab a drink, I could use the company. My treat, unless we get a crowd. Anyway, thanks for hearing me out. Really. You're amazing. Update 6. It's hard to believe it's been 4 years since I discovered my wife, ex-wife now, was cheating on me. The memories from that time are a fog of hopelessness and heartbreak, but I'll try my best to recount how I survived and where my life has taken me since then. Not long after I learned the truth, I confronted Sheila. There were promises, apologies, plans to put the affair behind us, but it all unraveled almost immediately. She swore she would stop talking to the other man, but the promises were empty. Counseling did nothing to bridge the chasm between us, and within a couple of months, Sheila was gone, moving in with the man she'd chosen over our marriage. They're still together, for what it's worth. In that storm, I retained custody of our daughter. The responsibility grounded me, even as I slid into a deep depression I never thought I'd crawl out of. I owe my recovery to a few pillars: my daughter's boundless love, my mother's unwavering presence, and the encouraging words and support I found in those who reached out to me in the darkness. Meanwhile, Sheila careened from one crisis to another. She got pregnant by her lover, terminated the pregnancy, became pregnant again, gave birth, and eventually lost custody of that child for 6 months when CPS stepped in due to suspected abuse. Sometimes I think karma picks its own moment to strike. Surprisingly, Sheila and I have reached a place of civility. We're not friends, but the worst of the rage and resentment has faded. I can say I've moved on. I don't wish her harm. For her failings as a mother, though, that's a wound I still carry. I've accepted I can't fix her or the chaos she allows into her life. Instead, I pour all of myself into fatherhood. My daughter recently turned 8, she's radiant, resilient, and the single greatest joy in my life. I even allowed myself to love again. I was in a relationship for 2 years, not a fairy tale ending, but certainly not a disaster. We simply drifted apart, taking different paths. Now, for the first time in my life, I feel genuinely happy, eager, even, for what comes next. Single, yes, but finally excited about it. My life's far from perfect, but it's never been better. To anyone facing their own despair, I promise you, it gets better. Fight for the other side, it's worth it. Update 7. I never thought I'd be writing another update after all this time, but here we are. Life has a way of throwing curveballs when you least expect them, and the past few months have been complicated. About 6 months ago, I started dating Sarah. We met at my daughter's soccer practice. Her son is on the same team. Sarah's been divorced for 3 years, and like me, she knows what it's like to rebuild after betrayal. Things moved slowly between us, which felt right. My daughter took to her immediately, and for the first time since Sheila, I felt like I could actually see a future with someone. Everything was going smoothly until 2 weeks ago when my phone rang at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday. It was Sheila, and she was crying, not the manipulative tears I remembered, but genuine panic. She told me she was in the hospital. Her boyfriend had beaten her badly enough to put her in the ER, and CPS had taken both kids into emergency custody. I won't lie, hearing her voice broke and desperate stirred something in me I thought was long dead. Not love, but I don't know. Maybe it was just seeing the mother of my child at rock bottom. Against every rational thought in my head, I drove to the hospital. She looked terrible. Bruised face, split lip, her arm in a sling. She kept apologizing, over and over, saying she knew she had no right to call me but didn't know who else to turn to. The worst part? She asked if I thought there was any way she could get our daughter back permanently. Said she finally understood what she'd lost, what she'd thrown away for nothing. I didn't know what to say to that. Part of me wanted to tell her it was too late, that she'd made her choices, but seeing her there, broken and alone, I just couldn't find the words to twist the knife deeper. Sarah found out I'd gone to see Sheila when I got home at 3 a.m. She was waiting up, and the conversation that followed was intense. She understood why I went, said she might have done the same thing, but I could see the worry in her eyes. She asked me point blank if I still had feelings for Sheila. I told her the truth, that I don't love Sheila anymore, but I can't just pretend she doesn't exist. She's my daughter's mother, and despite everything, some part of me will always feel responsible for her well-being, even if I shouldn't. Sarah nodded, but things had been different between us since then. More careful. More distant. Then yesterday, Sheila called again. She's been staying at a women's shelter, trying to get her life together. The courts are considering letting her have supervised visits with our daughter again, and she wanted to know if I'd support that. She also mentioned that her boyfriend has been calling the shelter, trying to find her, and she's scared. I agreed to the supervised visits. My daughter deserves the chance to know her mother, even if Sheila screwed up. But when I told Sarah about the phone call, she went quiet for a long time. Finally, she said she needed some space to think about things. So here I am, caught between wanting to protect the life I've built with Sarah and my daughter, and this nagging sense that I can't just abandon Sheila completely, not when she's finally seems to be genuinely trying to change. I know how this sounds. I know most people would tell me to cut Sheila off completely and focus on Sarah. Maybe they're right. But when you have a child with someone, it's never that simple. Every decision affects my daughter, and I can't make choices based solely on what's easy for me. Sarah texted me this morning saying she wants to talk tonight. I have a feeling I know what that conversation is going to be about, and honestly, I don't know if I'm ready for it. Sometimes I think I was happier when I was just focused on being a single dad. Life was simpler then. Now I'm questioning everything again, wondering if I'm making the same mistakes I made before, just with different people. My daughter asked me yesterday why Sarah hasn't been coming to her games anymore. I didn't know what to tell her. How do you explain to an 8-year-old that sometimes caring about someone means you might lose someone else? I guess we'll see where this all leads. Right now, I'm just trying to take it one day at a time and do what's best for my daughter. Everything else feels like it's spinning out of control again, and I'm not sure I have the energy for another emotional earthquake. But life doesn't ask if you're ready, does it? It just keeps moving, and you either keep up or get left behind. Update 8. I was right about that conversation with Sarah. She ended things between us that night, and honestly, I can't blame her. She said she could see I wasn't fully present anymore, that part of me was always going to be pulled back into Sheila's orbit whenever crisis struck. She wasn't wrong. What I didn't expect was how much it would hurt. Losing Sarah felt different than losing Sheila, cleaner somehow, but also more final. There was no anger, no betrayal, just two people acknowledging they wanted different things. She wanted someone who could put her first, and I guess I'm not that person. Not when my daughter's mother keeps imploding. The supervised visit started 3 weeks ago. My daughter was nervous at first, she barely remembered Sheila from before, and what she did remember wasn't great, but kids are resilient in ways that still amaze me. By the second visit, she was chattering about showing mommy her art projects and soccer trophies. Watching them together through that observation window stirred up emotions I wasn't prepared for. Sheila looked different. Thinner, older, but there was something in her eyes I hadn't seen in years, genuine remorse mixed with desperate hope. She hung on every word our daughter said, like she was trying to memorize each moment. It reminded me of the woman I fell in love with all those years ago, before everything went sideways. That's when things got complicated again. Last Friday, Sheila's caseworker called me. The supervised visits were going so well that they were considering moving to unsupervised day visits within the month. But there was a problem, Sheila still didn't have stable housing. The women's shelter had a 3-month limit, and her time was almost up. She'd applied for low-income housing, but the waiting list was 6 months long. I know what you're thinking, and trust me, the same thoughts were screaming in my head. But when I picked up my daughter after her visit that day and saw how happy she was talking about spending a whole day with mommy soon, I made a decision that probably makes me the biggest fool alive. I offered to let Sheila stay in our guest room temporarily. Just until she could find her own place. My daughter's face lit up like Christmas morning. Sheila started crying right there in the courthouse hallway. And me? I immediately wondered what the hell I'd just done. The first week was awkward as hell. Sheila tiptoeing around, constantly apologizing for everything, using too much hot water, making coffee too early, breathing too loudly. My daughter was over the moon, constantly wanting to show Sheila things, include her in bedtime stories, have her help with homework. For brief moments, it almost felt like we were a family again. Almost. Then Tuesday night happened. I was in my office paying bills when I heard voices from the kitchen. Sheila was on her phone, and something about her tone made me pause. She was talking quietly, but I caught fragments. "No, you can't come here. I told you it's over. Stop calling me." My blood ran cold. I thought about the restraint order she'd mentioned getting against her ex-boyfriend, about him trying to find her, at the shelter. When she hung up, I confronted her. She swore it wasn't him, said it was some guy from the shelter who'd been bothering her, following her around. She showed me her phone, and there were dozens of missed calls from a number I didn't recognize. But something felt off. The way she wouldn't quite meet my eyes, the slight tremor in her voice. I want to believe her. God help me, I want to believe she's finally learned from her mistakes, but I've been down this road before, and I know how it ends. Yesterday, I installed security cameras around the house. Told Sheila it was because of her ex-boyfriend, in case he tracked her down. She seemed relieved, even grateful. But really, I did it for me, for my own peace of mind. My daughter doesn't know any of this, of course. She's just happy to have both her parents under the same roof again. This morning she asked if this means mommy and daddy are getting back together. The hope in her voice nearly broke me. I told her we're just helping mommy get back on her feet, but I could see she didn't really believe me. Kids see what they want to see, and she wants her family whole again. The thing is, I'm starting to question my own motives. Am I really doing this just for my daughter? Or is some pathetic part of me still hoping we can somehow find our way back to what we used to be? Either way, I have a feeling I'm about to find out just how much I've learned from the past 4 years. Because if history has taught me anything, it's that when Sheila's involved, the other shoe always drops. I just hope I'm ready to catch it this time.